Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Painless Universe, a conversation with myself and Welsh. Well, today we'll be talking about finding your inner awakening. How do you find who you truly are? What is your divine calling and your divine purpose? How do you overcome that pain of having to let go of those things you thought were what your true calling was, whereas was what other people thought you should be doing? My guest, Jamyrin Edwards, will be telling us about his own journey, how he realized his true potential, and why he believes now more than ever since the pandemic, a lot of people are realizing their true potential and taking advantage of this, and why you should take that first move and find your true potential. But before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about him. So, Jamyrin Edwards, he's a fascinator. He brings me so much joy to really speak to him. He is an amazing guy who started this whole initiative about finding his own purpose, the power of going inwards to align to your highest timeline of expression and to collapse the false aspect of your self-content. Leap therefore into the timeline that projects your soul purpose, your soul mission, and who you truly are to the core. He's originally from Detroit, USA, and he left this after going into much needed inner child healing to focus on his inner alignment. His highest timeline quantum shifted him to relocate to London. As of now, humans are experiencing a major awakening in their consciousness, which is pushing us to go inwards and to reconnect and find our true purpose. He'll be talking about this and why is it more important that we do this. We'll be asking a question about what our divine purpose is, how can we find our true purpose, and how can we take that leap of faith. We'll be talking about his own upbringing, what led him to this purpose of finding his true meaning in life. I'm super excited and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you have any comments, put it in the comments line below. Stay tuned and enjoy. Meet my amazing guest, Jamyrin, as he shares his story. Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. As I said in my introduction, today's conversation will really blow your mind. Are you looking for that inner awakening? Have you thought about your life and not quite sure how do you move from one channel to the other? We've seen what the pandemic has done to so many of us. So many of us have gone inclusive. We've really thought about what do we really mean? What does this whole world mean to us today? My guest, Jamyrin Edwards, will be telling us about his own journey. He knows how to pursue an inward awakening. Listen to this, with a way of making us reconnect with a vast aspect of ourselves. So we want to reconnect with ourselves. And I must say, I want to do this all the time. I want to reconnect with myself, rediscover who am I? Why am I here? And what is my purpose? How are you today?
I'm doing amazing. In yourself?
I'm very well, very well. I read your bio and I love what you said. You came over, you're originally from Detroit and you came to the United States and you came over to United Kingdom because somebody told you that there's something, a calling for you out here in the United Kingdom. And you have this thing where you know how to pursue an inner awakening. And I'm not quite sure how that works because I think all of us are in that process. The world is upside down because a lot of people are going through a lot of hurtful times. So they're looking for how do they pursue, how do they find who they truly are. But before we get started, I want to ask you, who are you? Tell me, who are you?
Well, I'm Jamyrin Edwards. Like you said, I'm originally from Detroit, and I just had quite a few different life experiences that started to push me inward, where I started to just make different connections into how my internal world, my internal alignment with myself was kind of like not necessarily dictating, but kind of contributing to my outer world experience. So what I do is I serve as a bridge for people to connect their inner world and their inner reality to the external world, and to pretty much embrace their authentic selves by helping them to shed different layers or remove different false expressions of themselves, so that they can kind of get out of their own way and to align to their mission, their soul purpose. Because I truly believe we are all intricate pieces to this divine puzzle that we call life, and we all here we have a divine purpose here. And right now in the world, a lot of people are experiencing an awakening to where we're starting to tap into higher states of consciousness, whether this is through learning more about the way energy works, vibration, and it's pushing us to have to face parts of ourselves that we have either suppressed or that we've either repressed, or especially if you've experienced some type of emotional trauma from childhood or just various life experiences. We're all being asked to pretty much, like I said, take off that false expression and to align with our highest selves. So in the line of my life work and my life purpose, I started my awakening process about 10 years ago. At the time, I had no idea what was going on. I just kept hitting a lot of roadblocks. I knew that I was living in a state of pain. But I thought that living in a state of pain was normal, which I come to find out that it's not. We're supposed to be living in peace and joy. And of course, there are going to be various life obstacles that test us and challenge us that we have to overcome. But my life, I was on a false career timeline. If I would have known that I would be sitting here having this conversation with you 10 years ago, this is something I would have never foresaw. But in the process of me going inward and collapsing and releasing different emotional traumas, healing my inner child, which is a really big component of my line of work, and really much facing my inner shadows and overcoming myself, I ended up starting to projecting a higher timeline of expression, which pretty much aligned me to having this conversation with you today. So I'm really grateful to have crossed paths with you, because the result of all of my inner healing has brought me to receiving an invitation to be a guest on your show. So right now, the world is going through a lot of shifts, a lot of changes, and we are being pushed to go within ourselves to, like I said, release everything that no longer serve us, to start to heal from the inside out, and to start to, like I said, connect our inner world with our external reality. And as you start to do that, you start to experience various quantum shifts, because the universe, it kind of operates off of vibration, energy. I'm sure people notice they may have thought something or they may have felt something, and sooner or later, these different experiences are happening and they're external. So it's all interconnected. And like I said, right now, I strongly believe that humanity is, we're in the midst of a very powerful evolutionary process where we're going to be connecting the two. And this is going to change the way that we interact with ourselves. It's going to change the way that we interact with each other. It's going to change the way that we perceive the world and how we all have a higher purpose. So I help people to activate their soul purpose, align with their mission and their soul calling. A lot of us have various gifts. I'm a very strong empath, which took me quite a bit of time to realize, just based on, like I said, some of my emotional experiences that I've had in my life. But a lot of different people are very gifted, whether their passion is through writing, through motivating others, singing, dancing, cooking. Everyone has a unique passion that can be shared with others to bring, create joy and harmony in the world. And right now, like I was saying, I strongly believe that people are aligning to their callings right now. So this could be resulting in people experiencing confusion, or feeling like they're meant for something much higher, or feeling as if they're collapsing a false career timeline like myself. And if I wouldn't have gone through that process of going inward and being honest that I needed to change something in regards to myself, like I said, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you today.
Absolutely. I'm super delighted that you are here having this conversation, because what you're doing, Jamyrin, is really fantastic. Trying to help others, realize their passion and potential. When you look at your childhood, when you look back, what was it like?
Honestly, it was very beautiful. I experienced various dynamics. I was very creative, always curious. I originally wanted to own my own hotel. And I remember when I was like 5, my mom asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I drew a 10-story building, and I put like different things on it, like a bank. I wanted to have a homeless shelter. I loved Taco Bell at the time, so I wanted a Taco Bell on the 4th floor. And but I basically, I was always a big dreamer. And when I gave her the list, she looked at it, I was like, okay, we're gonna get this hotel. And she bought me a box of Legos, and I just kind of just built it myself. But I've always I always questioned things. I've always saw things from a much higher perspective. And I always just felt like I was sent here for a much higher purpose, even though I didn't know at the time. But I was just always curious as to way, like, why we're here. What is reality? What is this world? What is this place? And so I always used to just wanted to explore, travel, do different things, and express my creativity, and just, like I said, just be myself. I was different. I have two sisters, love my mom, love my dad, but in the process of just different life experiences, I did experience various emotional situations that put blockages in my energy field, and particularly caused me to start, like I said, operating from a false aspect of self, which kind of pushed me down a false career timeline. Because a lot of people, you will find, sometimes we do things based off of structure of what our family wants us to do. So we end up walking in the shoes of other people, but not really being honest with ourselves and what we want to do with our own lives. And so in the process of that, a part of my healing process and journey was to realize that it's okay for me to be different outside of my family values, my family systems, and which kind of, like I said, was a big change and transition for me to move to the UK. But it's like I had to walk my own purpose. It's okay to be different. It's okay to stand out. It's okay to want to explore different things that, typically isn't, we deem as like societally not acceptable, or just different things. So whoever's in this particular transition, if you do feel like, sometimes you are different, it's because you're special. You're most likely a very bright light for your family, and you're being asked to just own who you are and to follow your passion and follow that voice within that's leading you to your purpose.
So, we at the beginning, we talked about that. You said something about leaving Detroit to come over to London. So what made you make that decision to move halfway across the world, from Detroit to come to London?
To be honest, once I pretty much went through a major healing process within myself, and my vibration started to increase, I started noticing that my life started to collapse in Detroit. It's almost like as if the universe and life was ejecting me out. My partner does currently reside in the UK, so that was a huge factor in regards to me transitioning over here as well. But it was almost as if like I was experiencing a quantum timeline shift into a higher vibrational reality. And the transition of me, like I said, grounding myself in my highest alignment, doing my healing work, and surrendering to the process, it resulted in me manifesting new opportunities, or almost like a new door to walk through for me to transition through different timelines. And so I shifted myself here. So like you'll find that as people start to explore themselves and release, like I said, different blockages or just different repressed emotions out of their energy field, because we're always constantly shifting through various timelines throughout the day. Some are noticeable, some are noticeable, some aren't really that noticeable. But once you start to become more aware, based on how we're vibrating, that pretty much projects a timeline of experience. And like I previously stated, once I went through my healing work of aligning myself in my internal world, it's like I experienced a reality shift, which kind of, like I said, resulted in me transitioning to the United Kingdom. So it's a little bit of, physics in there. It's a little bit of psychology. It's a little bit of transcendentalism. There's a lot of different components. But like I said, as you start to really just pay attention, because sometimes I used to question, is reality a hologram? Is it a simulation? Are we in a video game? What is this? Why does everything kind of look real and colorful? But then at the same time, it's like, it's life. It's and they say, that things aren't really physical. It's all just vibrating. So I really feel like we exist in, and this is just my personal opinion. I know everyone's truth may be different, but I feel like we exist in, possibly, I'm starting to contemplate that we exist in some type of holographic reality that is a reflection, or almost like a mirror to the vibration of our internal consciousness. And as we start to change, you may notice that your external reality start to change. So like, in a sense, when I was living in pain, and I wasn't in a state, and I was afraid to face different parts of myself, I was projecting a painful holographic experience for myself. And as I went in and started decomposing and decompacting a lot of my traumas and different things, I started to project and manifest a reality that was built upon love, safety, trust, joy. And it was a lot of those inner child blockages that I had to work through in order for me to project this hologram that I'm in right now.
When you talk about pain, pain makes us do amazing things. It makes us do silly things. I always tell people, my own pain caused me to be the person I am today. Your own pain, you've talked about it, from the beginning. How do you describe what was your pain that you had to go through that made you realize that this is not me and I need to do something else? What was it that allowed you to question your life and make changes?
Self-abandonment. So there was a little bit of possibly feeling like something along the lines of abandonment trauma. Feeling like an outcast, not really fitting in. So I was very isolated. I used to stay to myself a lot. Self-doubt, just different things that, us everyday humans, we just various things that we have to overcome or just different challenges. But my pain kind of taught me, because I was always so used to looking for just different things outside of myself, whether it was love, it was comfort, it was validation, it was safety. I used to search for those things outside of myself. And I realized the more that I tried to search for those or receive them from other people, I was neglecting myself. And so in that process of me kind of just making myself the priority or bringing my attention inward, I realized that those components and those things was already within me. I just had to kind of work through the different false belief systems and the different repressed emotions that make me feel disconnected. And as you start to do this process, because like I said, humanity, we're in this metamorphosis process where a lot of people could feel like they're in a cocoon because we're evolving, we're changing. The way that we, like I said, relate and perceive ourselves is changing. The way that we relate to other people in the world around us is changing. So right now we're at a very critical step in our evolutionary process where people are going to start becoming more conscious of what's within them, conscious of their decisions, conscious of their thought process. So it's almost like awakening from a sleepy state and allowing yourself to create the life that you've always desired or felt worthy. And I had a lot of self-worth issues and blockages I had to work through as well. But just basically facing myself and knowing that I deserve better, that I'm capable of so much more, not fearing my potential, not fearing. One of the major components was I had to learn to not fear my own voice. Just because I may think differently than other people, but also knowing that I'm valued, that I am loved. And after I overcame a lot of those different challenges, my pain pretty much was like my greatest teacher because it showed me in different ways that I can align to my truth and that I don't have to accept pain as, I don't have to accept it as a state of life, that I do deserve to, be happy.
I love that answer because that actually leads me to my next question in terms of, society tends to teach us that we should live in pain, we should normalize it. Certain things we should not say, we should, grin and bear these difficult challenges we're going through and make them the norm. But your way, you found a way to break away from this norm of this pain you were going through. How do we break away? Because I think this is a question we always have. I've had this question myself. How do I break away from these pains and this fear of not being acceptable, not being part of society, to be able to feel back into that, to change that narrative of that this is normal and make it unnormal and make it people understanding that it's okay to be in pain and it's okay to talk about your pain?
Well, the biggest component, a lot of people, at some point, possibly, some people like to meditate, some people don't like to meditate. I feel like everyone heals in different ways. And I really strongly feel like there isn't one right way or one wrong way because we're all different people, which means we all have different paths and different journeys. But there's still an underlying component that merges it all. But you have to be able to create a safe space for yourself. That's the biggest component, allowing yourself to know that whatever you're overcoming, whether it's feelings of depression or whatever emotional transitions or emotional traumas that different people have experienced in their past. But like I said, it all starts with looking inward. For me, I was always connected with nature. I used to meditate. Some people heal through journaling. Some people are talkers. Some people like to talk to people to kind of decompress and get things out. Some people like to work out. Some people like to swim. But I noticed for me, I healed a lot in nature. I started meditating, spending a lot of time in nature. I started also exploring like sound, healing with sounds and healing with frequencies. I've also started in the process of activating my own healing gifts and abilities. So some of my services I offer for people are energy clearings, light language activations. I do private mentorships. I do tarot card readings because I have a very strong gift of empathy. So I'm able to connect with other people emotionally and being able to kind of feel the energetic and emotional blockages that they're working through. So I work with clients all around the world. And what I'm starting to realize as I get further along my career in my life work is that everyone heals differently. There isn't one right way or wrong way. So I also help people explore which avenues may work best for their energy and their mindsets and things that they gravitate towards. Like for me, for example, I'm at the beach now because it's grounding for me. It's grounding for me emotionally, healing for me. It raises my vibration. But I also have a friend, he's more of a dietary person. So he's found a way to heal through food by detoxing, by fasting, through there's different mediums in different ways that people can take, but everyone's different. But the strongest help for me was meditation. And now if like 10 years from now or 15 years from now, people say, oh, you need to meditate. I'm like, what do you mean? You want me to lay there and consciously sleep with my eyes closed and just lay there? I'm like, what? It wasn't until I think it was like I was 19 and I was doing a midnight shift at a restaurant, and it just was so overwhelming for me that I went into the bathroom. We made a little cardboard box pallet on the floor and I laid down. I'm like, this cannot be my life. Something has to give. And I actually kind of consciously meditated for the first time to bring myself some peace in that moment in order for me to, continue with the obstacles and challenges that I was navigating. And it led me to going to an island called Belle Isle in Detroit. It's an island not too far from downtown Detroit. And I just started really connecting to nature, and I started to feel peace like I've never felt before. And it made me start to just question things. I've done sun gazing. I've done a lot of different things and explored a lot of different ways that we can use energy and natural energy and vibration. Like I said, sound healing. Everyone has different gifts that a lot of people are starting to come into. I never knew that I was an empath. So a long time, I thought that I was particularly depressed or just bipolar. And I was starting to accept and believe that about myself. But as I started to really get to know myself and look into my own world and spend more time with myself so that I can hear my spirit more clearly, I started to realize, no, I'm empathetic. I can feel things more than I was told. And so I feel like a lot of people, especially because the vibrations of the planet is increasing. So this is also changing us on a molecular level. So there's parts where they've even admitted in science to where we have a percentage of our DNA that we haven't been connected to is kind of sleeping. They want us to believe that it's junk DNA, but those access DNA strands, they're activating right now. So this is actually pushing a lot of different things to the surface for a lot of people, for them to heal, for them to release, for them to let go. It's causing this awakening that's happening on a molecular level throughout with people, is actually pushing people to collapse false jobs, walk away from karmic partnerships and karmic relationships, whether there's marriages or just different things like that. It's bringing about a lot of changes. It's causing people to question themselves. What is my purpose? Why am I here? All of those different components. But there's a DNA activations that are taking place throughout humanity, and because we're light beings. And that light is being turned on. And in the process of that light being turned on, it's pushing a lot of people to have to face the inner shadows, or what is like you almost can't really suppress or repress various emotions anymore, because it's all coming to the surface for transmutation through the process of inner alchemy, is what I like to call inner emotional alchemy. So right now, a lot of people are in a process to where they can feel like they're emotionally expanding, because they're coming into it's causing people to awaken to the truth of who they are, why they're here, and also embrace and operate their authentic selves. Because as a collective, if we continue to operate from a false expression of self, we all hold ourselves back, which is why it's so crucial for us all to really align to that authenticity and to be ourselves, even if society makes you feel like makes you feel not comfortable, but everyone has to embrace their authentic selves. That's the only way that we're all going to be able to grow and heal as one, to overcome the various challenges that, pretty much encompasses our planet.
No, I think that's very true. It's just we're forced to do certain things, but we have to really find ways of making it work for us. And everyone is different. There's no one formula that suits everyone. So we just have to find what makes us happy. How can we find our own joy in our own environment? When you look at some of the decisions that people make, that they, a lot of people make decisions, but sometimes they don't want to make these decisions, but they still go ahead. Why do you think, what makes people go into those circumstances where they make decisions that they don't want to do?
It could be a combination of societal programming from what we're fed through, societal programming, different belief systems that we need to kind of transcend as a collective, not fearing our potential, feeling comfortable, like I said, forging your own path. Like if I would have gone the path that my family wanted me to go, I would, still be living in the United States. I probably would have gotten a degree in a field that I didn't really want to explore. I was just doing it because that's what I'm told I'm supposed to do, because and just all these other things. So I think it's just the pressure to be accepted and want to have that external validation that we feel accepted by other people. But once you start to work through different self-worth blockages and start to connect to your inner confidence, it kind of encourages you to forge your own path, to make your own way, to listen to your intuition, listen to your truth, and to honor yourself and to have those healthy boundaries to where if you don't want to do something, because if I would have listened to what society told me, go to school, get a job, get a white picket fence by the time I'm 30, have a few kids, get a car, take out a mortgage, work till I'm 70, retire, and just do that, I would never explore this new path of like, no, that's not my truth. I have gifts. I want to do this. I want to motivate people. I want to help people connect to a higher aspect of themselves. I want to, pretty much show people that it's okay for you to kind of go with the flow and trust yourself, because we all have a connection to ourselves. And it's just all about believing in yourself and knowing your worth.
So when you think about it now, I mean, you figure this out. How could someone else internally, how could they change this path? How could they make these decisions to not go with what society or what the norm? And I think so many people are questioning it. You look at the workforce today, many people are resigning and quitting their jobs because they've just realized this is not my calling. This is not something I should do. Why am I waking up every day doing the same thing every day? So how can they make these decisions to now find their inner joy and they forge their own pathway?
Well, first thing they have to do, they have to be honest with themselves of what's working and what's not working for them. Second, is probably going to have to do a little bit of inner work to align themselves and internally align themselves for what they're looking to project externally. And then that process is going to cause them, because as they naturally start, and when you naturally start to pretty much making your starting to explore their inner world, because our inner world creates, it strongly influences our external reality. So it's probably have to start taking some time to really explore who they are from within. In that process, what I've realized, also equipping themselves with the tool to raise their vibration, to raise their energy levels. So basically, exploring themselves and grounding themselves in their highest alignment from within, and that energy and that frequency that their DNA and that their bodies will start to emit to their external reality will naturally start shifting them and bringing different people into their lives in the form of opportunities, new doors opening. A lot of people, some people are business-minded people to where they want to have their own businesses. A lot of people, want to do other things to where, because it's all, it's all a responsibility. But a lot of people the biggest component is just be honest with themselves. What's out of alignment with their life? And how something is out of alignment with your life is when you start to feel resistance on a very deep level that I feel like I'm doing something I don't want to do. When you're grounded in your flow and in your highest truth, everything, you won't feel that resistance. It will just all feel aligned. And just trusting that, that they can go within themselves and make these changes, but it truly all starts from within, and decompressing and releasing the energetic and emotional blockages that projects false timelines of expression into their external reality. But the beautiful part about this awakening process that we're in the midst of having right now is that what's the word I'm looking for? This awakening process that we're having right now, this whole process is just going to start happening naturally for people, to where they're going to start gravitating and attracting themselves to, whether it's information, it's different tools that they can use to raise their vibrations. They're probably going to start attracting new friendships or different people or soulmates in a form that are going to start to come into their life and serve as some type of catalyst for change. because it's all frequencies and vibrations. So, but it all starts within you. If you're feeling resistance to anything in areas of your life, look within to see what that experience is mirroring to you that you can learn about yourself. And as you go within and make those energetic changes, you'll start to then project and shift yourself to higher vibrational timelines and experiences.
What about the divine purpose? You talk a lot about realizing your divine purpose. Well, how do we realize that?
Well, start off with things that you're passionate about, the things that you gravitate towards, things that make you genuinely happy. Like I said, I love using my gifts. I do, like I said, I do tarot card readings. I do private readings, private mentorships, energy work, Reiki certifications, light language activations. So those are my gifts that I was given to share with humanity. But you just gotta explore your passions. What brings you the most joy? What brings you the most happiness? Because when you start to, you can create income, or you can create abundance for yourself by doing the things that you love, because your frequency is at its highest. There may be a few seeds that you have to plant to kind of to water them along the way, because I started planting the seeds for what I do now several years. I want to say I started kind of like in 2016. And then as I continue to, grow and work on myself and prioritize my own healing, I started expanding and started to grow. And once I had made a major leap in my healing journey, it's like my life just collapsed. It collapsed in Detroit, and the universe ended up transitioning me here. But everyone has we all have a divine purpose. We all matter. We all are, like I said, an intricate piece to this divine puzzle that we call life. And people are going to start attracting, like the people that may have attracted themselves to this information from this, in this conversation that we're having. You'll start to attract people that resonates to different things that you're thinking about, or conversations that you've been having. So one of the biggest component is the self-talk. The relationship we have with ourselves is so important, that we're planting positive seeds. And I'm not one of those pro-positive people that you have to be positive, because life is full of ups and downs. Sometimes you may have thoughts that filter into your awareness that you may not deem as positive, or you may not deem as good or bad. But just accepting yourself for who you are. But your self-talk and the relationship that you have with yourself internally is so crucial and so important, because it pretty much that then extends outwards. We all are composed of, we all have inner masculine and inner feminine energies. Inner masculine is kind of like our thought process, our belief systems, our ability to action, our desire to create. And then we have that inner emotional, inner feminine energy, our emotions, our intuition, our creativity, our energy, like those different things. And when you start to bring those two polarities into balance, you start to enter a state of unity and inner union with yourself, and that inner union and foundation that you've cultivated with yourself then start to extend outward into every people, or the people you meet, or the people that you attract. So like as a result, the inner union that I've reached and attained within myself, it allowed me to cross paths with you in order to have this enlightened conversation. So I just want to thank you for following your calling and following your purpose as well, because what that does, it mirrors to other people to do the same, to kind of walk in their truth and to do what we were sent here to do. But everyone has a divine purpose, and we're all being kind of activated in a way to kind of step up and take on that role of embodying our purpose on a deeper level.
No, you're right. We all have it. And so sometimes it takes a lot of God to go out there and find it. But, once you know it, and once you truly believe in it, it just flows. You start connecting, the dots start making sense, but you just have to be consistent and focus on it. One of the things I really love about you is that you work one-on-one with people through mentorship, you do energy healing, you do light language activation, you do mediumship to connect people to a higher aspect of themselves. Mm-hmm. How does this improve a person's confidence and self-worth?
Well, I also, in addition to those, just because I'm very, very sensitive empath. So it's like, I can feel the different blockages. Like a lot of people may be familiar with chakras, different things, exploring the unconscious, subconscious, but I feel things. I can feel what blockages are excuse me, holding people back, or what emotions they need to work through, whether it's trauma that they've never spoken about, or just different things that they may be unconscious of. But I have a way with, like, water is one of my favorite elements, but it's also my empathy is one of my strongest gifts. So I help people get out of their own way and ground themselves into their highest alignment. Like, on my Instagram page, if you click the link in my bio, you'll see a lot of the reviews from a lot of my clients that I work with all around the world in regards to just working one-on-one with me, or having that private space to kind of speak outside of the things that I do publicly with my tribe and with the people that have gravitated to my energy at this time. But it's pretty much just all energy and vibration. And once I realized that a lot of these things are energy and vibration, that, things really aren't as physical as we think it is, it really helped me to gravitate and attract various tools or just different mediums to help release those blockages. And during my sessions with my people, I can kind of connect with a higher aspect of themselves to kind of communicate things to them, whether it's from their guides, their ascension team, or their higher self, to kind of give them the information and set them on the right path of the direction, to kind of, like, not necessarily like a course correction, but to help them to align themselves and reveal to and mirror to them. It's almost like I start becoming a mirror and mirroring to them what's creating the misalignment in their lives, what's creating the various, if some people that, like, a lot of my people that I've helped transition into a higher vibration. Some people were learning a lot of different lessons through some of their relationship experiences, and realizing that a lot of the relationships that they projected and attracted into their life was a result of inner child trauma and just different things. And by addressing those traumas and those core wounds, it shifts them to a timeline to then when they can attract and align a higher vibrational partner to enter into their space. So it's just a lot of different components. Like I said, a lot of different people. No one heals the same. Everyone heals differently. But what I've made it a priority for myself is just to equip myself with a vast amount of tools and a vast amount of different things that I can then use to work with a particular person and their energy and what works for them. If that makes sense. But one of my favorite gifts that I have is I love doing my tarot card readings, because it gives me a chance to kind of connect with myself and listen to my spirit and my intuition to then convey information, or just, speak different things to mirror to people and stuff, to stuff that they may need to hear at a particular time to kind of help transition them to the path that they're supposed to be following right now. And that's why I love my tribe. I love the people that so many people from around the world have supported me in my journey in regards to allowing me to express my truth and share my gifts with the world. So I'm truly grateful to be here, to be of service to the planet right now.
This is really amazing. Before I let you go, I have to ask you, explain the concept of a soul tribe, because this is something you talk about a lot. I've listened to your work and I've read it. You talk about this soul tribe, and how has this helped you along your own life journey, Jamyrin?
To be honest, because like I said, I've had friends, I've had a lot of different people that have come into my life as well as exit, but then I got to a point where I started to gravitate to people that accepted me as I am and accepted me in my more evolved state. So I started attracting people into my life, or the people that may be drawn to work with me, or that I've come across on social media. They're just people that have kind of reached a level of in their evolutionary process to where they're aligned connections, and it's people that have pretty much gone through the process of transcending themselves beyond their ego and connecting with their spirit on a deeper level. And so I've met so many different beautiful people as I've been traveling the world. I've come across so many beautiful people online that are also in a process of honoring their voice and sharing their truth with the world and sharing their gifts and their assets and different things. But it just made me feel, because a lot of people, when they're going through these awakening transitions and these awakening processes, it can make you feel a little isolated, because you start to kind of withdraw a little bit from society, a little bit, or withdraw from the norm. And it does require you sometimes to have to spend time alone so that you can actually hear yourself and hear what your spirit is communicating to you. And in the time that I did spend time alone, I actually, when the pandemic took place, that's when I got a lot of my healing done, because It was nothing else to do. So I spent a lot of time inward during that time period as well. But right now in my life, I'm just grateful of the connections that I have. I'm grateful for my clients that I get a chance to work with every day. It is truly a blessing to be able to be a light for other people, and to have gone through my journey to then be able to show people, hey, this is possible. You are more capable of doing things. I was working in restaurant management. I started managing when I was 17, as soon as I got out of high school. And I just did it for about 8 years. But I got to the point to where it was like, I'm like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. My dad was also in management. So I'm like, I wanted to do this because, my dad's manager, I want to be a manager, but that was not my calling. It wasn't my purpose. And I ended up like job hopping for like 2 or 3 years because I thought, well, maybe I just need to find an environment, that works for me. But I realized it wasn't the jobs. It was me. I was the problem. So it's like, that's why I kept quitting jobs, starting new jobs, quitting until I realized I'm not supposed to be doing this. I have to go within myself and activate myself and surrender to this process. And then it just gave birth to this entire new timeline that I'm currently experiencing right now, where I get to live my life in joy. I get to travel the world. I get to, work for myself. I get to set my own hours. I get to travel. Like I'm on the beach right now, being able to connect with you and still connect with my clients if I need to do so. So this is just what works for me, because I like to be free, if that makes sense. I don't like being confined into the box of what society.
That absolutely makes sense. I'm really honored to talk to you, because I've learned, in this short space of conversation we've had today, I've learned so much about the work you do, and not just about the work you do. You've given us useful tools and tips on how to find that inner awakening. I think it's so much sometimes we want to find it. We know we have a divine purpose, but sometimes we're too scared to go out of our comfort zone, to go out there. But what you've just really shown us in this conversation is that it can be done. We just need to believe in ourselves, trust in ourselves, and hope for the best along the way, and find our inner tribe that will guide us. Because you meet people along the way, they might be there temporary, but they have a message for you. So thank you so much for this conversation. I've learned so much, and I really hope that everyone who listens to this conversation learns as much as I did. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well.